Susan came home from her 3-day route and didn't even look at me when she walked in. No hug, no kiss, just a quiet, hey, then straight to the shower. She left her bag by the door, kicked off her shoes, and disappeared down the hallway like I wasn't standing in the kitchen watching her. I waited a moment, then called out casually, "Rough trip?" She responded through the closed bathroom door. Long passengers were a nightmare. I nodded to myself. Same excuse as last time, and the time before that. She'd been different lately, colder, distracted. Every conversation felt like I was interrupting something more important. Her phone was always in her hand, always face down. She used to forget it around the house. Not anymore. Now it was like an extension of her body. One night, about a week ago, I walked past the bedroom and saw her grinning at her screen. She didn't even notice me. I said, "What's so funny?" She jumped a little. "Oh, nothing. Just a meme someone sent me. Somewhat, a girl from work." I just nodded. Didn't say what I wanted to, that she never talked about anyone from work. Not by name, not like they were friends. Another change? Her clothes. New stuff. Tight-fitting, stylish, expensive. She said she found some great deals. Sure. And the perfume. Definitely not what she used to wear. It was sweet, musky, and made to be noticed. I asked about it once. New scent. She shrugged. Just trying something different. You don't like it? It's fine, I said. She smiled and walked past me. You always say that. That night, I couldn't sleep. 3 days later, she packed for another trip. Said she'd be overnight in Cleveland. Gave me a quick peck on the cheek and left in a rush. I stood in the doorway as her Uber pulled away. I wasn't even mad. Not yet. I just had a bad feeling. The kind that doesn't go away. A few hours later, I was cleaning the bathroom when I found it. A folded paper jammed behind the sink faucet. Looked like she tried to throw it away and missed. It was her printed itinerary, but it didn't say Cleveland. It said Cincinnati. Different route, different hotel, different everything. I stood there holding that paper like it was a confession. When she got home 3 days later, she was practically glowing. Hair curled, fresh nails, new earrings. She tossed her tote on the couch and said, "Hey, babe, want Thai tonight? I'm starving." I nodded. "Sure. I could go for pad, CEW," she said, walking into the bedroom. I waited until I heard the shower running, then sat at the dining table. Her laptop was open. I wasn't trying to snoop. I really wasn't. But Gmail was still pulled up, and something caught my eye. A reservation confirmation. Cincinnati. Hotel. Queen bed. For 2 people. Booked under Susan and Justin. I felt like the air got sucked out of the room. Justin? Who the hell is Justin? I stared at the screen for a full minute, then quietly closed the laptop. My heartbeat was steady, but my hands were trembling. When she came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, she smiled at me like nothing was wrong. "You order yet?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "It's on the way." She kissed my cheek and walked past, and I just stood there in my own house, watching the woman I married move like a stranger. She had no idea I knew. Not yet. After that night, everything felt unreal, like I was walking through a play, but I was the only one who didn't have the script. Susan kept acting the same, cheerful, chatty, tired but smiling, and I kept pretending right along with her. I didn't ask about Justin. I didn't confront her about Cincinnati. I wanted to. God, I wanted to just shout, "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" But I didn't. Instead, I cleaned the kitchen, took the trash out, folded laundry like always. Because I knew if I exploded now, she'd twist it, turn into my jealousy, my paranoia, my fault. No, I wasn't going to give her that option. I needed the truth, not just the booking. I needed to see it. A few days later, Susan came into the kitchen while I was making coffee. She looked radiant, honestly, like she was in a really good place in her life. Just not with me. "Can you help me with my suitcase later?" she asked, sipping her smoothie. "Sure," I said. "I'm on a weird route this week. Overnight in Pittsburgh, then Cincinnati the next night. I'll be gone a little longer than usual." I stirred my coffee. "That's fine." She looked at me, narrowed her eyes slightly. "You good?" "Yeah." "What?" "I don't know. You just been quiet." I gave her a smile I didn't feel. "Just tired. Long week." She nodded, satisfied with that answer. Later that evening, we were watching some old crime show rerun, and she leaned her head on my shoulder like nothing had changed. I kept my eyes on the screen, trying not to react. She used to do that when we were dating. I used to love it. Now it felt like someone else's life. That night, when she fell asleep, I sat on the edge of the bed and just stared at the floor. My heart wasn't broken. Not yet, but it felt suspended, waiting, like it knew something was coming, but couldn't prepare for the fall. The next day, I worked like normal. Had a client call, answered emails, cleaned up my inbox. Susan packed in the background, humming to herself. Before she left, she walked up behind me and kissed my neck. "See you in a few days," she said. "Love you." I turned slightly in my chair. "Love you too." The door closed. I sat there for 10 minutes, unmoving. Then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and drove. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Didn't text her. Didn't make up an excuse. I just pulled up the Amtrak route schedule, which she always left printed on the fridge, and matched it to the days she said she'd be in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh was a quick stop. Cincinnati, though, that was the overnight layover. That's where the hotel was booked last time. So I went there. I checked into a different hotel nearby, one with a view of the lobby entrance of hers. I waited in the car for hours pretending to scroll my phone, heart pounding. I told myself I might be wrong, that maybe Justin was her brother, a friend, a co-worker who just needed a place to stay. But then I saw them, walking side by side under the street lamp. Susan in a red coat I hadn't seen before. Justin, tall, dark hair, dressed sharp, laughing at something she said. And then she grabbed his hand. He leaned in and kissed her. She kissed back. They walked into the hotel like a couple. Not sneaky, not nervous, just like they belonged together. I watched until the elevator doors closed behind them. And I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't punch the steering wheel. I just sat there, eyes burning, hands on the wheel, trying to remember how to breathe. I had my answer. Now I had to decide what to do with it. When I got back home, the house smelled the same, looked the same, felt completely different. She was still gone. She had 2 more nights on that route, so I had time to sit with everything. I didn't eat that night. Just laid on the couch, fully clothed, shoes still on, eyes on the ceiling fan, turning slowly in the dark. I kept seeing it play in my mind like a video loop. Her hand in his, her face lit up with that smile she used to give me, the way she leaned into him like she belonged there. I didn't hate her. Not yet. What I felt was worse than hate. Detachment. When she walked through the front door 2 days later, suitcase rolling behind her, scarf wrapped around her neck, she looked at me like she expected a kiss. So I gave her one. She smiled. "Missed you." I smiled back. "Missed you too." We sat down at dinner later that evening. I ordered Thai just like she liked, and talked about nothing. Literally. The food. The weather. Some show on Netflix. She was bubbly. Talkative. Alive in a way she hadn't been for me in months. "Julian from my team is so annoying," she laughed. "He keeps eating my snacks on the train." I raised an eyebrow. "I thought you said you liked Julian." "Oh, no, I mean he's fine. Just messy." She covered it well. I'll give her that. But she was talking more than usual. Over-explaining. Laughing at her own jokes. She was performing. And I was watching. "Elias," she said at one point. "Are you listening?" There was my name. The way she used to say it when we were still us. I nodded. "Yeah, sorry. Just tired." "You've been tired a lot lately." She took a sip of her wine and stared at me over the rim of the glass, trying to read me. I stayed still. "Calm. Everything okay at work?" she asked. I replied. I didn't ask about her work. About Cincinnati. About Justin. I wanted to see if she'd offer it. She didn't. That night, we went to bed like everything was normal. Her head on my shoulder. Our legs tangled together like the world hadn't fallen apart. I laid there awake, eyes open, waiting for sleep that never came. Over the next week, I kept the act up, played my part. I made dinner. I laughed when she laughed. I did the dishes. We even slept together once, and I don't know how to describe what that felt like. Like performing surgery with numb hands. She had no idea. Then, a few nights later, she brought it up at the dinner table. Casual, over a bite of pasta. "So, I have a big one coming up." "A big what?" "Route. A 10-day tour. New schedule. They got me bouncing from city to city. I'll barely have time to sleep, let alone call. Just a heads up." I nodded. "Sounds exhausting. It'll be fun, though. I mean, long hours, but some of the girls I like are on this one. Should be good." I sipped my water. When do you leave? Next Thursday. I looked at her. She looked back, smiling, chewing, unaware. All right, I said. Let me know if you need help packing. She reached across the table and touched my hand. You're being so sweet lately. I smiled. That night, I lay in bed beside her, staring at the ceiling again. The 10-day tour. That was my window. While she was off playing house with someone else, I'd be here, tearing this house down piece by piece. The morning she left, she kissed me on the forehead. Said she'd call when she got to Chicago, the first stop on her 10-day route. She had a tote bag, suitcase, fresh manicure, and zero suspicion in her voice. You'll be okay without me, she teased. I smiled. Of course. Don't forget to eat something other than frozen waffles. Can't make promises. She laughed, gave me that soft little wave, and pulled the door shut behind her. The lock clicked, and I exhaled for the first time in days. I waited a full hour before I moved. Just sat on the couch, staring at the door she walked out of. Then I stood up, walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, and began. I started with the easy things. The dresses she only wore on trips, ones I'd never seen her put on at home. I pulled them off the hangers, folded them neatly, and placed them in boxes. Her designer shoes followed. All the heels, wedges, fancy boots. Boxed, taped shut. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't angry. I was surgical. Her side of the bathroom was next. Perfume bottles, a dozen half-used lipsticks, hair curlers, luxury face creams. I packed them all, except for one lipstick, the red one I saw her wearing the night she walked into that hotel with him. I tossed that one into the trash. By noon, I had 6 boxes lined up in the hallway. I labeled them, donate. I grabbed a coffee and sat at the kitchen table, just breathing. She had taken so much space in this house. Her prints on the walls, her books on the shelves, even the playlist that auto-played when we cooked dinner. I opened Spotify, deleted her profile. That felt good. After lunch, I moved to the guest room and opened my laptop. Listed her vintage handbag collection on Craigslist. A few pieces of jewelry. Even that record player she had to have but never used. I priced things low. Real low. I didn't care about the money. I wanted it gone. That night, someone came to pick up the handbags. You selling your girlfriend stuff? The guy asked, laughing. My wife's, I said. He paused. Oof. Sully, mun. Don't be. The next few days were a rhythm. I woke up early, made coffee, cleaned out another corner of our life. Her cookbooks, boxed. Her yoga mat and subscription cards, gone. Her wellness blender, donated. The place started to feel quieter, lighter, like I could finally breathe. On day 4, I took her framed wedding photo off the wall. I looked at it for a long time. She looked happy in it. Real happy. Her eyes squinting from sunlight, hair pinned up in curls. I remember that moment. I remember thinking she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I took the photo out of the frame, folded it once, and placed it in an envelope labeled for closure. I didn't throw it out. I didn't need to. Just knowing it wasn't on the wall anymore was enough. I changed the locks on day 5. It felt symbolic more than anything. A simple swap of metal parts, but something in me shifted as I did it. This was my home now. Not ours. Not hers. Day 6, I moved all of my clothes into the master closet, spreading out for the first time in years. I picked new sheets. Got rid of the lavender one she liked. Threw out her pillows. I also started writing. Not for her, for me. I opened a blank doc on my laptop and wrote everything I'd seen, everything I'd felt. I wrote about the hotel lobby, about her in that red coat, about how cold I felt when I watched the elevator close on her and Justin. I wrote like I was scraping it all out of my ribs. It helped. On day 7, I found Justin. I wasn't looking for him, not actively, but I remembered the hotel reservation. His full name had been listed. I typed it into Facebook, and there he was. Smiling. Confident. Married. His wife's name was Anna. They had a dog. A kid, maybe 4 years old. From the photos, they looked like the kind of family who hosts neighborhood BBQs and sends Christmas cards. I clicked through his page, slowly. It made my chest hurt, in a way I didn't expect. Not from jealousy. From the reminder that pain doesn't pick sides. Anna had no idea what her husband was doing on overnight trips. She didn't deserve that. I bookmarked her profile. Not yet, I told myself. But soon. By day 8, the house barely remembered her. The walls were bare. The closets were clean. Every trace of her was either packed, donated, or deleted. I moved through the house like it was an art exhibit being deconstructed piece by piece. Her bookshelf gone. Her favorite mug donated. That ugly little ceramic cat her sister gave us for our first anniversary shattered. Some things deserve silence. Others deserved a hammer. I didn't burn photos. I didn't tear anything up. I just erased her. Slowly. Intentionally. Like peeling wallpaper that had overstayed its welcome. And then came the letter. I sat at the desk and stared at the blank page. Pen in hand. No dijerces. No edits. I wrote straight through, as if I was finally speaking after years of holding my breath. Susan, I saw you. I saw everything. You didn't lose me because you fell in love with someone else. You lost me the second you decided I didn't deserve the truth. I hope the version of yourself you are with him is worth what you threw away here. This house isn't your home anymore. Neither am I. Evan. Simple. Clean. Final. I folded the letter and placed it in an envelope. Wrote her name on the front. Put it on the dining table, the only thing still in the room. Then I took a walk through the house. One last time. Kitchen. Clean. Empty. Bedroom my side lived. Hers didn't. Living room. Neutral. Cold. I stood in the doorway of the guest room, now filled with boxes labeled donation and trash. This had been her yoga room once. Now it looked like storage for someone else's past. I didn't cry. Not once. The version of me that would have. He left days ago. That night, I packed a duffel bag with just the basics. Clothes. Laptop. Headphones. One book. Left the rest behind. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Didn't make a dramatic exit. I just closed the door behind me, locked it, and placed her house key in the mailbox. She wouldn't need it anymore. I checked into a small Airbnb on the edge of town. Quiet place. Brick walls, a kettle, and no pictures on the walls. Perfect. The next morning, I went out for coffee and watched the sun rise like I hadn't seen it in years. I didn't feel free. Not yet. But I felt something that came close. Stillness. Then I opened my laptop, pulled up Facebook, and stared at Anna's profile, Justin's wife. Still smiling in her photos. Still blissfully unaware. I opened a message window. Typed. Ianna, I know you don't know me, and I'm sorry to reach out like this, but I believe you deserve the truth. I paused. Type more. I'm not here to hurt you, but I believe your husband and my wife have been seeing each other during work trips. I have reason to believe they were together at the Cincinnati Westview Hotel last Thursday. Attached the hotel confirmation screenshot. Attached the photo of Susan and Justin entering the lobby. I had taken it from the parking lot. Blurry, but clear enough. Ended with, again, I'm sorry. No one should be left in the dark. You have every right to ask questions. I sat for a minute, then hit send. It was done, and I waited. Not for her reply. Not for justice. I waited for peace. She came home on a Sunday. The Uber dropped her off at 6:32 p.m. I know because I watched it from a side street. Far enough to stay hidden, close enough to see her rolling that same suitcase up the front walk. She didn't look tired. She looked energized. Fresh hair. Light makeup, smiling to herself. She had no idea. I saw her pause at the door, digging for keys. Then I saw the hesitation. The key didn't work. I'd changed the locks 4 days earlier. She stood there for a moment, trying again. And again. Tilted her head. Confused. Then annoyed. Eventually, she pulled out her phone. Probably calling me. I watched it buzz on the seat next to me. I turned it on silent. A few seconds later, another call. Then a text. Hey, why won't my key work? I didn't reply. She finally rang the doorbell. Twice. No answer. I could see her growing anxious, pacing a bit, glancing around, texting again. Then she checked the mailbox. Took out the spare key I'd left there. She disappeared inside. I waited. A minute passed. Then 2. Then I saw her silhouette through the front window, standing in the center of the living room. Still as a statue. She didn't move for a long time. No furniture. No books. No framed photos. No laughter lingering in the walls. Just a letter, resting in the middle of the dining table. Eventually, she picked it up. I could tell by the way her hands trembled. She sat down slowly in one of the two dining chairs I hadn't bothered to get rid of. She read it. Her mouth moved, maybe whispering my name. Then her head dropped into her hands. I didn't watch after that. I pulled away and drove off. Later that night, my phone lit up again. Missed calls, voicemails, texts. Where are you? Please answer. This isn't funny. Evan, what the hell is going on? We need to talk. Please, just call me. I didn't open them. Didn't listen. Didn't reply. Silence was the only thing left between us, and it spoke louder than anything I could have said. The next day, she called from a different number. Left a message. Evan, I don't know what you think you saw, but it's not like that. Okay, it's not what you think. Can we please just talk before you throw everything away? That voicemail made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. That was her tell. When she was caught, she deflected, rewrote the story, repainted it in softer colors. A few hours later, another message. You're acting crazy. This is insane. Just call me. You can't just disappear like this. You're being cruel. And finally, I messed up. I know I did. But this isn't fair. You don't get to erase me like I never mattered. That one hit harder. Because part of me agreed. She had mattered. Once. But the moment she chose to give herself to someone else, to hold his hand, kiss his lips, book a room for two, she erased herself. All I did was finish the job. For the next 3 days, I lived inside a peaceful kind of silence. Not quiet, silence. The kind that only comes when you've stopped pretending. I woke up early, walked, cooked real meals for the first time in months, drank my coffee hot instead of forgetting it on the counter. I listened to jazz in the morning and podcasts at night. I read without checking my phone every 10 minutes. I sat with myself, and I liked who I was sitting with. But the world around me, it wasn't quiet for long. Susan had turned the volume up. She started calling people. My best friend, Mark, texted me on day 4. Hey man, Susan's been trying to reach you. Says you left. That everything's a big misunderstanding. I replied simply, it's not. He didn't ask for more. Good friend. The next day my mom called. Evan, sweetheart. Susan reached out. She sounds really upset. She says you just left? I kept my voice calm. Yeah, I did. You two had a fight? No. She made a decision. I responded. My mom paused. You okay? For the first time in a while, she didn't push. By the end of the week, Susan had sent me a voice message that was almost 8 minutes long. I didn't listen to it, but the text that followed said enough. I don't deserve this. You should have talked to me. I made a mistake, but you're being vindictive. You can't just erase someone from your life like this. I stared at that message for a long time. What do you even say to that? You made a mistake? Booking a hotel room for two. That was a mistake? Holding another man's hand like it was yours? Smiling at him with the same eyes you used to look at me? No, you don't get to call that a mistake. You get to call that a choice. And I get to call this freedom. Later that night, I opened a blank email to my lawyer. Simple, clean. Subject: divorce, initiation request. Hey, I'm ready to move forward with dissolving the marriage. No kids, no shared debt. Property is mine, and I have documentation. I like it to be fast, simple, and clean. Let me know what you need from me. Evan. I hit send. It felt light, not triumphant, not cruel, just necessary. The next morning, I passed by a bakery downtown. Bought a pastry I hadn't had in years. The girl behind the counter smiled and said, "You look like you needed this." I laughed. Yeah, I think I did. Then I did something I hadn't done since all of this began. I deleted her contact. Susan. Gone from my phone. Not blocked. Not muted. Deleted. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming the space in my life that used to be filled with confusion, excuses, and half-truths. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I had room to breathe. The legal side was easy. I had the documents drawn up, signed, and filed by Thursday morning. No contest. No shared accounts. The house was mine long before she moved in. The lawyer called it the cleanest divorce setup he'd seen all month. What wasn't clean was the history. No amount of legal paperwork could erase 7 years of us. But I could still make it clear what those years meant now. So I built the box. Not out of spite, not to cause pain, but to leave her something honest, the one thing she never gave me. I started with the wedding photo. Not the one from the wall. I'd already folded that and hidden it away. This was the one from the photo album she made after her honeymoon. It was her favorite. The one where we're barefoot on the beach, her laughing, hair in the wind, me looking at her like she was my whole future. I took that photo out and slid it into the box. Then the lavender pillowcase she used every night still smelled faintly like her hair. Her wedding ring, which I'd found in her jewelry dish, casually tossed aside weeks ago. A printed page from Spotify, our anniversary playlist. I circled the song we danced to at the wedding. And finally, that red lipstick. The one she wore in Cincinnati. The one I saw smudged on her smile when she kissed another man under a hotel awning. I had fished it out of the trash and saved it just for this. I placed it gently in the box, taped the lid, wrote one word on the top in black marker. Yours. I drove back to the house, parked in the driveway, unlocked the door, and stepped into what used to be a life, and now was just a space. Set the box on the living room floor. No note this time. No extra message. The items would speak louder than any paragraph I could write. I turned off the lights, closed the door, left the key, the only remaining key, on top of the box. That night, I got a single message from her. Why would you do this? I didn't answer, because she already knew. And even if she didn't, I was done explaining things to people who lied with their eyes and said, I love you with someone else's hands. I went for a walk. It was cold. I didn't care. Halfway down the block, I passed a man holding hands with his wife. They looked normal, happy, like the version of us I used to believe was still alive. But I didn't feel bitter. I felt something better, untethered, like my life was finally mine again. Like her name didn't belong in my mouth anymore. Like everything that had broken me had finally stopped echoing. The divorce went through 2 weeks later. No courtroom, no drama, a few signatures, a notarized document. That's how 7 years ended. Not with a scream, but with a stamp. I didn't tell anyone, not even my mother. I just let the silence do the work. Susan still tried. Texts came in waves, some emotional, some angry, some almost robotic. I still can't believe you'd do this without talking. We were more than one mistake. This is cruel. You're better than this. I loved you. I still do. Each one felt smaller, like the voice of someone sinking, still calling for help long after the ship is gone. But I was on dry land. I blocked her number the next morning, deleted every photo of us from my drive, cleared my inbox, changed my locks a second time, just because it made me feel better. I wasn't trying to erase the past. I was just done dragging it into the future. And then, on a Sunday morning, I opened my email and saw it. A reply from Anna, Justin's wife. Subject line, thank you. The message was short. No punctuación. No fluff. Y ya van. I just wanted to say thank you for telling me. It broke me, but I needed to know. You were right. I did deserve the truth. He's moved out, and I'm figuring out the rest. That was it. No details. No questions. Just a thank you from someone who understood what it meant to be lied to with a smile. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. A few days later, I found out, through someone who still worked near Susan, that Justin had transferred to a different route. Farther west. Longer hauls. No overlap with Susan's shifts. I didn't ask for the info. It just landed in my lap. Funny how truth travels, even when you stop chasing it. Susan never mentioned it, but I could guess what happened. Maybe Anna confronted him. Maybe he ran before she could. Maybe Susan finally saw what it felt like when someone disappeared without a warning. I'll never know, and I don't need to. I sat on my balcony that night, looked up at the sky, and thought about how quiet the world felt. Not empty, just quiet. Not sad, just still, like something had finally stopped vibrating in my bones. It's been 3 months. That doesn't sound like much, I know. 90-something days. A season change. But it's enough. Enough to sleep through the night again. Enough to make coffee and drink it hot. Enough to look in the mirror and recognize myself. Not the man she left behind, but the man I reclaimed. Sometimes I still think about her. Not the betrayal. Just the silence that followed. How loud it was. How sharp. How final. She never apologized. Not really. She said sorry in the way people say sorry when they're caught, not when they're sorry. She blamed the distance. Said I wasn't the same, that we were drifting. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had changed. But here's the thing. You don't fix distance by lying. You don't rebuild trust by hiding. You don't love someone with half your heart in another room. And when I watch her walk into that hotel with Justin, laughing, holding hands, leaning into him, I didn't just lose her. I lost the illusion that love without honesty is still love. I told you I wouldn't name myself at the beginning. But now, it doesn't matter. I'm Evan. And I'm not broken anymore. To the people reading this who feel what I felt, the pit in your stomach, the ache in your chest, the voice in your head saying something's wrong, trust yourself. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You feel it because it's real. And to the ones who are still waiting for a confession that won't come, stop waiting. Sometimes silence is the confession. I'll tell you one more thing, something I never told Susan. After I saw her with Justin, after I came back home and packed her life into boxes, I found his wife, Anna. I told her the truth, not to cause chaos, not to feel better about myself, but because she, too, deserved to know who she was sharing her life with. She thanked me. And after that, Justin was gone, transferred, out of state, no longer crossing paths with Susan. Maybe it was Anna's decision. Maybe his. Doesn't matter. What matters is, the truth rippled. And sometimes, that's the most you can hope for, that the lie doesn't live forever. I'm not here to say I'm healed, or perfect, or better off. But I am free. Free from guessing. Free from chasing someone who already left long before she walked out the door. Free from loving someone who didn't love me the same way. If you're where I was, if you're staring at a phone that won't ring, or a heart that won't stop asking questions, take a breath and start walking. You don't have to burn the past, but you can stop living in it. Sometimes the cleanest revenge is this. Peace. And I've got it now. I really do.